Assalamu alaikum guys. We're talking about quartic equation, and there is one thing I need you guys to understand. I'll talk about a quartic equation is also called a 4-degree polynomial, and I already talked about a 3-degree polynomial already. So I felt like if you haven't watched that, go back to my previous video. It is there, simply because what we'll be talking about with this quartic equation is just like also using the same method we had used in the 3-degree polynomial. And let's use I'll be talking about two methods tonight. That is the normal rationalization, or we call it your synthetic division, and also the normal Olympiad method. That's normal trick. Let's look at this question, guys. Let's say you have x raised to the power 4 minus 4x cubic plus 6x squared minus 4x plus 1 equals to 0. So I talked about this in my video. Then I said whenever you want to do something like this, you can use synthetic division. And how do you apply synthetic division to it? You look at the last term. You look for the positive and negative factors of this last term, which is 1. And what are the factors of 1? It is just only positive and what, negative 1. Are you with me? So after that, then you look for the values out of the value listed as a factor. Then you look for one out of the value that whenever you insert into this equation, it will give us what? 0. That's, the root. They call it root, or they call it the 0 of the polynomial. So if you have to look at this, if I'm to insert positive 1 into this gives me what? 6, right? 6. I have a negative 4 here. I have a negative 4 here. That's negative 8. This gives me 6. Inserting 1 into here, I have 1 and I have 1. So what? 6, 7, 8, negative 4, negative 4. Which means that what? My x is equals to 1 would actually work. Now let's apply the two methods I had said first, using the synthetic division or using the rationalization there. Now I would prefer using this method because it's a little bit faster. Looking at this now, guys, let's make x minus 1 as more like a factor. So you have this. I'll explain this in my 3-degree polynomial. You put your x cubic minus 4x cubic plus 6x squared minus 4x plus 1. So we have x cubic dividing x. We put them up here. That will give us x cubic. Are you with me? That was an alarm. So sorry. So you have this, then multiplying this. That would give us x raised to the power 4. This x cubic will multiply everything in the factor. So x raised to the power 3 times x, you have x raised to the power 4. X raised to the power 3 times minus 1, you have negative x cubic. Then you subtract them. This will give us 0. Minus times minus, you have plus. So therefore, negative 4x squared minus times minus, this gives us plus. So therefore, this will give us minus what? 3x cubic. Then you drag 1 down. That's plus 6x squared. Repeat the same thing again. Minus 3x cubic divided by this. You have minus 3x what? Minus 3x squared. Then multiplying it throughout. You still have minus 3x cubic. Then what, guys? Plus 3x squared. Then we subtract again. This is out of the game. Then minus times plus minus, plus 6x squared minus 3x squared. That gives us what? 3x squared. You drag negative 4x to the 4. You drag it down. Same thing again. You have plus 3x. Then multiplying throughout, you have 3x squared minus what? 3x. We subtract. And this gives us a negative 1x. The same thing again. You have negative 1. Negative 1x. Are you with me? Negative 1x. Okay. Let me drag it down first. Negative 1 is that you drag your last 10 plus 1 down. So we apply the division again. Then this will give us negative 1x. Negative 1x divided by x gives us negative 1. The negative 1 times x, negative 1x. Then minus 1 times this, you have your plus what 1. So this gives us what? This is us 0, which tells us that this is actually a root or a 0 to the polynomial of this equation. Now, after that being done, we've gotten 1 out of the root, and as you know, this is a quartic equation. You need 4 roots. We have to take this up from here. So we take the quotient, which is x cubic, your x cubic minus 3x squared plus 3x minus 1. So the same thing we did here, we also repeat it to break it down to a normal quadratic equation. You all know that. So we look at factors again. We know factors here is going to be also plus or negative 1. And which one is going into it? We have to put 1, negative, negative, that's negative 4. And also I have 4. So 1 still goes. And I'll be having what? X minus what? 1. Now let's having x minus 1. We use the same method again. You have x minus 1 and x cubic minus 3x squared plus 3x minus 1. Now this gives us what? X squared. Multiplying back, you have x cubic minus what? X squared. Do not forget. Then moving on, guys. This gives us what? 0. Minus times minus plus. This gives us what? Minus 2x what? Minus 2x squared. We what? We drag 1 plus 3x. This divided by this, you have what? Minus what? 2x. Multiplying it, minus 2x squared, then plus 2x. Subtracting again, you add this. Minus times plus minus 3x, you have ordinary what? X. You bring your minus 1 down. This gives us what? Plus 1. Then what do we do again? You have plus 1 times x, you have 1x ordinary x. Then what? Negative 1. You subtract again, this is also 0 and 0, which shows that what? X minus 1, x minus 1, these two are both factors. So from there we have ordinary x squared minus 2x plus what? Plus 1. And from here you know that we can factorize. And how do we factorize? You look for a number whereby the first rule is that you multiply this constant with the coefficient of x squared, which is 1 times 1, you have ordinary 1, then positive 1. So you look for two numbers. That's normal factorization. But in most cases, so that you waste your time, you can either use the quadratic formula to ease your work faster. Now you look for two numbers that when you multiply it gives us positive 1, and when you add or subtract it, it gives us negative 2. That's quotient of x. And what are the numbers? You have x squared, negative 1x, negative 1x plus 1. So you have this minus 1 and minus 1, which tells us that all the factors of this equation is x minus 1, x minus 1, x minus 1, and x minus 1. So if you want to tell, if it tends to be a normal equation, that means our answer for x is going to be equal to what? 1. That's 1 4 times. So that is just the answer. So using this normal method, you get this answer. Please, and now let's use the second method I do always use, the synthetic division. When looking at this, using the synthetic division is just like the same thing I done here. I'll just use the first then. So let me use the second method before I use the synthetic division method. Now using the Olympiad method, actually the Olympiad method does not work for all the equations. Same way this synthetic method does not work for all the equations. So anticipate for my next video using the grouping and also using this my man. I won't say his name now, that'll be a surprise in the next video. So using the Olympiad. Now why can I use Olympiad for this question? The first rule is that the coefficient of number A has to be the first number A has to be the same with the last number A, and as you can see 1 1. Same thing, the second number here has to be the same thing with the second to the last number here. Negative 4, negative 4. Then we can apply the what? What do they call it? The Olympiad trick. Now how does that work? It tells us that since our x is not equals to 0, you can divide all this equation by x squared. That is x raised to the power 4 over x squared minus 4x cubic over x squared plus 6x squared over x squared minus 4x over x squared plus 1 over what x squared equals to 0. Now guys, moving on to this. This gives us ordinary what? X squared minus 4x plus 6 minus 4 over x plus 1 over what? X squared. Then group them, the one that are the same thing, like the same term. You have x squared and 1 over x squared. Together you have x squared plus 1 over x squared. Right, then minus 4x minus 4 over x. Are you with me? Then plus 6 equals to 0. So from here, if you look at now, when looking at this equation, you have to look at something common like a normal number. And as you can see, it's only one that is common, so we want to factorize this, or just use normal solution and still have normal value like this. So dropping my x squared plus 1 over x squared minus 4 is easier, x minus 1 over x, okay, plus 6 equals to 0. So look at what I was saying, guys. Now you can easily say that let y be equals to x plus 1 over x. Now guys, if I'm to look at x plus 1 over x squared, let's assume I said x squared plus 1 over x squared, are you with me, is equals to x plus 1 over x raised to power 2. Now guys, this is actually not equal to their self. Why is that? If I'm to expand this, x plus 1 over x times x plus 1 over x, this will give me x squared plus 1 plus 1 plus x times x squared plus 1 plus 1 then plus 1 over x squared. And as you can see that I have a 2 at the middle here. I have 2 x squared plus 1 over x squared, yes, then plus I have 2. So how do I do that to make this balance? I can subtract this from what? I can subtract 2 from it. So it's already what? It's already balanced like that. So since you know that x plus 1 over x is y, so we can say this is equals to y squared minus what? Minus 2. Hope you get the logic. So moving on from here, I could easily say that bringing it back into our normal equation. Do not forget, bringing it back into our normal equation, we have x squared plus 1 over x squared being equals to y squared minus 2. I have y squared minus 2, right, minus 4. X squared plus 1 over y is y minus 4y plus what? 6 equals to 0. So this is more like a quadratic equation. So I have balancing everything. You have y squared, are you with me, minus 4y plus 4 equals to 0. So this is more like I said, a quadratic equation. So looking for two values, you have y squared minus 2y minus 2y plus 4 equals to 0. So you have y minus 2 if that is, yeah, so equals to 0. Are you with me, guys? So which shows that y is equals to 2, or y is still equals to 2. Now guys, from this our question here, this is now what you are going to do. Now since you know our y is equals to 2 now, you have to substitute it into this equation then to get 4 answers. The first process, y is equals to 2, right? The second process, y is equals to 2. So from our x plus 1 over x, now if x plus 1 over x is equals to y, which y is equals to 2. Are you get what I'm saying? Since it is the same method I will use for both of them, I don't need to use x plus 1 over x equals to 2 again. Let me just solve it once. Whatever I get here will be the same answer I will get for this one 2 times. So if I'm to multiply everything by x, so x squared plus 1 equals to 2x. Then coming back here, you have x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals to 0. So how do we go about this? X squared minus x plus 1 equals to 0. So as you can see, x minus 1, which shows that our answer here is x minus 1. How many times, guys? 4 times. That's 4 times. Which actually correlates with the other method we used earlier. So whenever you see the questions like this part, this part, this part, this part, you can easily apply the Olympiad method to it. Any question have been given if they are like that. So as you can see, I'm to try y equals to 2 also for the second one. I will have my answer being given me s minus 1, which is that our answer x is equal to what? 1 4 times. So that is the synthetic, that is the normal Olympiad method to solve the question. And at times, whenever you are being given your answer, you might be given in terms of a fraction. Just make sure you use what? You use quadratic formula. I said that earlier. It is much more easier. So guys, that is that for it. Let me quickly use this last method, which we all love to do. Now the last method, what is the last method? It's very easy. Same thing. Let's still look for values. You know, this is plus or minus 1, and we're using 1, right? So this is what you're just going to do. Synthetic division, you put 1 outside, then you put their coefficients inside the bracket. I have 1, I have -4, I have +6, I have -4, I have plus what? +1. Are you with me? So whatever I say, you bring it down. We have 1. Then 1 times, you multiply this. Are you get what I'm saying? Then put your answer here. 1 times 1, you have what, guys? 1. Then you add them together. -4 plus 1, you have -3. Are you with me? Then same thing again. 1 times -3 minus 3. This gives us what? +3. 1 times +3 plus 3. This gives us what? -1. Then -1. This gives us 0. This should already give us 0. So breaking this down, it has become a 3-digit polynomial. This will give us x cubic minus 3x squared plus 3x minus what? Minus 1. So since you have this, if you have to use plus or minus 1 again, you have to use the same techniques to get our answer again. And what is our factor? We still have 1, because whenever you put 1 here, you have 4, you have -4, which gives us 0. So we still have no, we've gotten 1 already, we've gotten 1 again also. So breaking this down, you have 1 minus 3 plus 3 minus 1. This is also what, guys? Put the 1 down, like I said. You have 1, this is -2. You have -2, this is +1, and you have +1, this is what? 0. So breaking this down, it becomes x squared minus 2x plus what? 1, as a normal quadratic equation. And that will be x squared minus 2 minus x plus 1, and you know, x minus 1, which is that what? Our answer is still x minus 1, x minus 1, x minus 1, x minus 1, using the synthetic division. So it's anyone you want to use out of the three, you are good to go. But depends on some questions, some critical questions, you can use them. I will drop some special methods you guys can use in the next video. That is by grouping and some other ones that are greater. Okay, so thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe.